you go into the case studies of just how what has been a very public spat has fallen out into some key, well, future crises for these companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do have this feud with Donald Trump, which is a big deal. I mean, I think you look at like why has Tesla stock fallen over the past 6 months or so. A big reason of that is it's kind of like it hit a high just after the election, and we've had kind of a reverse Trump trade. But once you back away from the Trump of it all, you start to see three key companies, SpaceX, Tesla, X, all of which are attempting these huge, kind of monumental things with huge amounts of risk. I think it's a thing that Elon Musk has never tried to do before, really. We've never seen this in his career. As much as he's a guy who makes big bets, we have Tesla attempting to do a really like a hard pivot away from car manufacturing to robo-taxis, a competitive field, a field where they're not necessarily in the lead. We have Starship, this giant rocket, which has yet to fly yet. We've had 3 successive explosions during test flights. And then we have X, which looks very promising, XAI, but I think is clearly a little bit behind some of its competitors, OpenAI and Anthropic, and is losing huge sums of money. And you take all those 3 things, and then you take a poor relationship with the guy who's in power in the United States, and that is a dangerous recipe, I'd say.
And it's a dangerous recipe that investors now stare down the barrel of as earnings come up this week on Wednesday. He's already declaring he's sleeping at the office, largely to fix, is it Tesla at the moment? Is it XA? How do we know where he's spending his time?
Well, that is the thing. And as Ed and I talk about in this story, I think if you talk to different people at different companies, they'll say different things. I think Tesla employees, a lot of them feel that Tesla is Elon Musk's main priority. XAI employees kind of would say the same thing. I think SpaceX is in a slightly different position because you do have sort of a strong executive, more or less in charge. That's Gwen Shotwell, the president and COO. But there is that tension. And we saw that come up, in the last couple of weeks. We've seen investors suggest that maybe Tesla needs to give Elon Musk even more equity to sort of persuade him to spend more time at Tesla, which is a strange thing when you're talking about a stock that's gone down, when you're talking about all of the challenges this company faces in terms of the core business, the car business, which has not been performing well over the last year or so.
And you really articulate how much just general sentiment towards Musk as what had been the most adored entrepreneur has completely depleted, but he still has such a big base of retail supporters. Is that fading in this current moment? How much does that have to be an anxiety?
I mean, you look at Tesla stock, and it's still not doing that poorly, considering all of these kind of challenges that I've brought up. So the stock is still very, very expensive compared to other car companies. It hasn't, done especially badly over the last month or so. So there is this base of support, but I think you hit the nail on the head, Caroline. The big change here for Elon Musk is he went from being a very popular, admired guy to being unpopular. When you look at his approval ratings, they are poor. And it's possible you don't necessarily need to be popular to succeed in business, but it doesn't hurt, especially when you've made your own personal brand so important to your companies as Elon Musk has.